So there's a few things that will really tip you off if it's someone that's trying to defraud you. Some of you may not know this, but I was 20 years in the Toronto Police Force, and when I left the police force, I was a detective in our commercial crime unit. And I also have gotten over the years many fraudulent messages for people that claim they want to buy your work. What they'll also do is they'll offer to pay with certified checks. Now it is so easy to forge certified checks. And another common thing they do is they say, well, I'll buy your paintings, but I'll look after the shipping. If you're an artist that sells your work, I'm sure you've already been approached by people online about buying your work where it smells like a scam and they're trying to defraud you. And if it hasn't happened already, I can assure you it soon will. Look, as artists, we're often desperate to sell our work. And there are unscrupulous people out there who are willing to take advantage of that and use that against you to defraud you. Now, in a recent live Q&A session with my students, one of them brought up the fact that she had multiple inquiries about her work that appeared to be from different people, but all with the exact same wording. I have no doubt that this was a scam, but in this video, I also give you some of the red flags that you need to look out for if somebody reaches out to you online and says they're interested in buying your work, as well as what I think is the best and safest way to sell your work. And then we also get into my thoughts on NFTs. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Tim Packer. 25 years ago, I quit my job as a police officer to pursue my dream of becoming a full-time artist. I've since made several $1 million from the sale of my work, and I've helped thousands of artists with my online courses. Okay, let's learn a little bit about how to protect yourself from the scammers. So the first one was from Josie Gabe, and it's about people asking on Instagram to buy her work. So she's getting several different people inquiring, but it's like the exact same comment. And she believes it's a scam because they're identical, but they're coming in from different things, and they want her to reply by DM. And so I'm going to just talk briefly about that. And I also have gotten over the years many fraudulent kind of messages for people that claim they want to buy your work. So there's a few things that will really tip you off if it's someone that's trying to defraud you. Usually there's this very long involved story, and they often start with, oh, I saw my wife looking at your work online, and I would like to buy your art. And it's kind of like, it's very generic, right? They don't say, oh, I'd like to buy Morning Sun Batchewana Bay. They just say, I'd like to buy your art. And then they'll say things like, please send me a list of available paintings that I will buy. And the key there is, anyone who's actually interested in buying your art, they'll refer to a specific painting. Or if they are really interested, you can just direct them to your website. And ideally, the best way to deal with selling your work online is through a website and using one of the payment programs like Shopify, which is what we use, because that vets the process and it goes through either PayPal or Stripe or another credit card company where it's vetted. It's very risky to deal with people directly online. If you are going to do that, the only absolutely secure way to do it is to have a wire transfer from their bank to actually transfer the money into your bank account. You'll also get a lot of people. Another red flag, and just so some of you may not know this, but when I was 20 years in the Toronto Police Force, and when I left the police force, I was a detective in our commercial crime unit, the Fraud Squad, which we were one of the top kind of commercial crime investigative units in North America. So I have a fair bit of experience with this. But one thing that they'll also do is they'll offer to pay with certified checks. And there was a time when certified checks were actually very safe. Now it is so easy to forge certified checks. I would never accept a certified check, because what happens, a certified check goes in, it goes into your account, you ship them your painting, and then when eventually that check fails to clear, that person's got your painting, and it might be 2 or 3 weeks later, but now that money comes back out of your account. And another common thing they do is they say, well, I'll buy your paintings, but I'll look after the shipping. I'll have my shipper come to your address and pick up the work and ship it for me. And you can just reimburse me for the shipping costs. And what they're actually doing, they're not even shipping your painting. They're coming, taking your paintings and throwing them in the dumpster, and they're just taking that money from you that you've reimbursed them for the shipping. Or they'll overpay you with a certified check. and then just ask you to make up the difference. And again, what happens when that check eventually comes through the system and doesn't clear, that money's going to be withdrawn from your account. So yeah, just be very leery. But if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is online. That said, I have done an awful lot of sales through people that have approached me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. But in that case, I always tell them how I need this to be paid for, which is typical in any business that you're dealing with. You don't walk into a store and tell the business owner how you are going to pay for what payment he is required to accept. So that's the big thing there. But again, I find having a website on Shopify, which if you are going to be selling online, I really recommend Shopify over any of the other platforms. You can host your entire website there. And we've never had a problem with a chargeback using Shopify. And then she also had a question about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, about people wanting to purchase NFTs of your work. That's something I have not got into yet. For those of you who don't know what an NFT, it's called a non-fungible token. It's become very big, but to me right now, it's kind of like the wild west, and it's all paid for in cryptocurrency. And you have to, often it can cost you, $500 or $1,000 to get an image changed into an NFT. And then they're basically buying an image of your work that's like a one of a kind. And it also, you can actually sell an NFT with copyright rights attached to it or whatever. But the big reason I've stayed away from it right now is that they're really only, you can really only deal in cryptocurrency. And I find that cryptocurrency, again, with my fraud background, it seems very much like a bit of a Ponzi kind of thing for me. And I know there's been cases of people, making lots of money and then losing millions overnight when all of a sudden the confidence in a specific currency doesn't hold up. So I am just staying away from NFTs for now. I know there are artists who have made a lot of money, but it's just like if Bernie Madoff. A lot of people made a lot of money with Bernie Madoff if they got their money out early enough. I just don't know enough about it to recommend it. Well, I hope you found that helpful. If you're interested in learning more about the business of being an artist and learning more about my online courses, I've put some links below in the description for some of my courses. And right now, as a special bonus, if you purchase any of my courses, you'll get a free live group Zoom chat with me, where you'll be able to ask me any questions about art, the business of being an artist, or how I've achieved my success.